Hello and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well. I thought I would take the time to sit down and discuss some of my favourite or most memorable criminology theories. Now, it has been a while since I graduated uni. It's been 7 years, but I'm sure there's new theories out there, new ways of thinking, new studies that I'm not aware of, but crime and justice is one of my passions. I haven't committed any crimes yet, but no, I'm very passionate about crime and justice, so I just thought I would talk through some of the things that have stuck in my mind over these years. Why is it whenever I film a video about crime, there are sirens in the background? Okay. In criminology, we love to ask the question why. Why do people commit crime? Why do they behave in these ways? So the theories are the best ways of explaining this or looking into this. These are in no particular order at all, so let's get started. And my first theory is the labelling theory, or the self-fulfilling prophecy. And this was coined in the 1940s by Robert Merton, and it's the idea that if you believe that you are a criminal, you will become a criminal. If society stigmatises you and labels you as a criminal, that's who you will eventually become. It revolves around the idea that people commit crimes because that is how society responds to their behaviour. It's all about stigmatisation, marginalisation and social exclusion. Even after somebody is released from prison, they are still called an ex-convict. So regardless of all their other facets, everything about their personality, what they might have achieved, they will act as an ex-convict because that is how society sees them. It might be harder for them to get housing, harder to find employment, they might be ostracised in society because they are an ex-convict. That label will then become internalised for that person, and potentially, if they are deemed as an ex-convict, that's how they're going to behave. For example, you might see a teenager walking down the street with their hoodie up, and you might automatically think that they're a troublemaker or they're going to cause some kind of antisocial behaviour, so you cross the road to avoid them. That teenager then might presume that label and then start acting in such a way that a hoodie is seen like a hooligan and antisocial. The labelling and self-fulfilling prophecy theory is very much linked to people's socio-economic status. But this theory does not take into consideration people's free will, that people have the choice to commit crime, that's their decision, not necessarily how they might be labelled, because you could be labelled this, that and the other, but you don't have to act upon that. That's your choice. The focus is very much on society's reaction rather than the individual's decision. Merton says that the self-fulfilling prophecy is, in the beginning, a false definition of a situation, evoking a new behaviour which makes the originally false conception come true. I personally believe that the self-fulfilling prophecy theory doesn't just have to apply to crime. I think it can apply to any areas of life and not just in a negative way. The next theory that I'm going to delve into is probably one of the more controversial theories in criminology, and that is the biological or positivist theory, which was studied by Lombroso in the 1800s. Lombroso was an Italian criminologist, and he came up with the idea of l'uomo delinquente, the criminal man, the idea that criminals are born, they are not made. Lombroso studied criminals, non-criminals, the deceased, the mentally ill, and he studied their physical features, their height, the way their faces are, their head shape, eyes, nose, anything about somebody's physical appearance he studied, and found that the way somebody looked would determine if they were a criminal or not. Lombroso said that criminals could be identified by their physical features. Unpleasant physical characteristics could equate to unpleasant behaviours. Lombroso was very much about nature and not nurture, and he believed that criminals were at an earlier stage of evolution than the rest of humanity. Lombroso studied that if you had different head shape, or you had big ears or big nose, or your eyes were at funny angles or something, that determined that whether you were a criminal or not. One of the problems with this theory is that it doesn't allow for free will. Somebody might have had a funny shaped head, but that doesn't mean that they would or would not commit crime. It's still down to an individual's choice. The positivist theory in these days is deemed to be morally wrong, inhumane and racist. It supports eugenics and the attempt to eradicate those from society who are deemed as less human. Although positivism is one of the more interesting theories in criminology, it's definitely the less humane of the ones that are out there. But if this was studied in the 1800s, society is in a very different place than it was back in those days. One area of criminology that I love to study was gender and feminist theories, and one of these ideas is chivalry, that women get treated more leniently in the criminal justice system because society sees them as physically, psychologically or emotionally weaker. It's the idea that a woman might potentially get a lesser sentence than a man would do because society wants to protect them from the criminal justice system, and society can also undermine the female's ability to commit crime and the severity of those crimes. However, on the other hand, there's the idea of double deviancy, where women are seen to be treated more harshly in the criminal justice system because women are supposed to be seen as maternal and caring and soft. So when they commit crimes, they're going against that perception. When a woman commits a crime, they're seen to have broken both the societal norms of what a woman is supposed to be, but also the legal rules. So their crimes can be deemed as much worse because they've broken two aspects. And my final theory that I'm going to discuss today is one that always stuck in my mind, and it is the broken windows theory. And this was originally coined by Zimbardo and later studied by Kelling and Wilson as well. It's the idea that if an area has broken windows, graffiti, signs of neglect and disorder, this will therefore encourage further crime and antisocial behaviour, as it shows a sign of lack of law and order. Therefore, if an area is well kept and there is visible police presence, the rate of crime will decrease and public safety and satisfaction will increase. Zimbardo did an experiment, I think it was in the 1960s, where he had two vehicles, one in the Bronx, New York, and one in Palo Alto in California. Both cars had the hoods up, no license plates. Within minutes, the car in the Bronx was vandalised. Within 24 hours, it had nothing left. Everything had been taken. But the car in California was untouched even after 7 days. So Zimbardo went along with a sledgehammer and smashed the car himself. It wasn't long before others joined in, but those who did join in were in suits. They were well-to-do people. Wilson and Kelling later said that one unrepaired broken window is a signal that no one cares, and so breaking more windows costs nothing. It's the idea that if an area is showing the signs of crime and disorder, that will carry on, whereas if an area is well kept, looked after and loved with the police presence, crime is likely to stay low. That was a very quick run through and summary of some of my favourite or most memorable criminology theories. Obviously there is a lot more that can be said about these theories and ways of thinking, but this is just a quick run through. Please let me know in the comments if you have a favourite theory, if you disagree with any of the theories, or any ideas about any ways of thinking. Please write them down below. Thank you very much for watching. Be prepared for me to completely neglect this channel for another year, maybe 6 months, who knows. If you could see how I'm filming this video, it is highly unprofessional. You are balanced on top of a desk, on top of 2 boxes. It's not good. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.